how long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
I do actually. I do because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon? Is it too soon to make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that?
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers in the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories, and to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But what's interesting about this is in many countries it's not even legal to talk about it. And that's really where my interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth, is that if you wanted to question the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries. And I think that's really the more interesting conversation, which is that this is almost like a religious dogma in the West. No other genocide, no other atrocity is treated like this. Could you imagine if in the United States they said the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is 100,000, and if you don't say that, you're going to jail, you're banned on X, you can't have a job? That's the part that's totally insane. And a lot of people, they can't even make up their minds. I think it's actually done a disservice. If your goal, and I'm not saying you as Piers Morgan, but if your goal, if you're an advocate for awareness about this, if your goal is to convince everybody that this is the way the Holocaust happened, I think the last thing you'd want to do is say that everyone that disagrees is in jail and is banned and you're not allowed to say it. So there's really been no open debate about the subject since the scholarship started to be produced about 60 years ago.
But there is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers. The amount of documentation that was recovered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it, the amount of documentation that was saved and preserved and used for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have a very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how many Jews were slaughtered. It's at least 6 million. What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died in the Holocaust. And for the record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Well, no, I said it could even be higher than that.
Well, it could be higher. That is true.
I think it's at least.
But you accept
you're right.
at least.
It is at least. Oh, it's at least 6 million. But
okay.
It could be 100 times more than that.
Okay. But people are going to be.
Let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on. Let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored, and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries. And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, if the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws. I don't think people should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to say what they want to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you have an employer, they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized, is my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in the United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog-marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media, right? So yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting to me about our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And there'll be people watching this who I think will be very surprised by that, because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives, and I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went against, you were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that, because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge because there has never been... There's never been a debate on it. And there's never been a debate because of the stigma, because of the censorship. And I think that leads a lot of people to say, well, what do they have to hide? Because you can say on your show, well, I'm personally against Holocaust denial laws, yet they still persist and the social consequences still persist. And I think that that is the anomaly. And people have to wonder, okay, why is it that way? And what I said in that clip is the reason the Holocaust casts a long shadow is because it confers a political benefit upon organized Jewry. That is what they always fall back on. They cannot be criticized, they cannot be named, they cannot be talked about, lest there be another Holocaust. And no other tragedy is treated that way, and no other ethnic group has a get-out-of-jail-free card. Just play that, anti-Semitism and Holocaust, you can do whatever you want and defend all your actions. That's the part that people are getting upset with. That's the problem.
I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get-out-of-jail-free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that? That believes that?
I'm sure there are some people that do that, but it's such a ridiculous generalization. You know, the truth is that most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust. In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
And
I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who, when he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's Danny Finkelstein here. As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin. My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and to a state collective farm, sent my grandfather to the Gulag. You might try asking him why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may all be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old, so perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
See, that's the reality of your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years?
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching, you know?
Yeah, you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So
yeah.
maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members
oh my
were
gosh,
murdered.
yeah, we got all that. We, you know, me mom, like we're, you know, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler and
because he
me
doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by...
when you say Hitler's very fucking
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a prominent conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. Now, what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
I mean, can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered
That
12
is just
million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million
Okay.
people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II, and it's fascinating, and it's interesting, and it's compelling, and it's cool. And, you know, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions, and then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, "Oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom," and it's like, shut up, like. You know, no one is in favor of genocide, so let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy or whatever it may be? And that he systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers. Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again the mask slips, and it's slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer, and we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying, he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
Not
and
that
what
serious.
I'm getting at.
Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about
Well,
he's a monster?
you're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right?
I know.
You're nearly 30, to be clear.
Yeah,
okay? You're a
I
fully
know.
formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage, that brain is taking you off these
Is
rabbit
this an
holes.
interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you
in full?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives, okay? The Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been in America
What about
and
the Schindler's
everywhere.
List?
Hey,
Tell me about the Schindler's List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, well, let's just be clear, it doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives,
Honestly,
it's true, and that's why people like me. That's why I'm popular, because this is bullshit.
Honestly,
yeah, it's a crock of. We don't want to hear any more about me mom and me dad. That's a crock of shit.
No, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit. And you
It's
know
true.
it.
It's called the open society.
In your gut, you know it is. You weaponize this stuff.
You know.
You weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something like what you just said.
I'm banned from banking. I'm banned from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I do it for money.
And by the
How
way,
much money you
and by
make?
the
Your
way,
company's
that
worth $100 million. Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you shouldn't
I'm banned
have been.
from processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been. Right? I don't agree with that. What happened to
Then
you?
don't say I'm doing it for money, because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How much
grift.
money- how much
if I
money
wanted
are
to be
you-
a grifter, I'd be like you, and I would go and say,
How much money are you making?
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you. We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done hearing about that. You guys
I'm not
overplayed
done
your hand.
hearing about that.
Okay, well, your generation's on the way out, and Generation Z is coming up, and we're finished with that. We're ready to take our country back.
I've got three
we're
sons.
not listening to crying minorities anymore.
I've got 3 sons, and they don't share your views about slavery and about the Holocaust. They can have decency and compassion and humanity about some of the worst things that have happened in the last 150 years or more.
Sound like girls.
They can do that, and they can also have concerned views about issues like immigration and other issues. The two things are not mutually incompatible. You can have different views about different things. It's your lack of humanity and compassion for people about things like the Holocaust, about slavery. It's that people find so contemptible. And I don't understand why you need to do that. Again, I just ask you, is your motivation financial? Is your motivation for fun? What is the motivation for saying these outlandish things, which you don't need to say, and which I suspect, I don't know, I suspect a lot of it is performative. So what is the motivation?
I'm an iconoclast. The Holocaust is not my religion, and it is treated like a religion. It is treated like a religion with dogma, with blasphemy laws, and that secular religion says, and you say that's a crock of shit. It's intentional. It's called The Open Society by Karl Popper. It's by these architects of the liberal order after World War II. They got together and they said, how can we make sure that Hitler never happens? How can we make sure that totalitarianism never happens again? And they came up with the consensus, which is that we need to take down nations, religions, fathers, the authoritarian personality. We need to be empathetic and altruistic. We need to be diverse and pluralistic. And that experiment isn't working. And I'll tell you the truth, right now, and you can laugh at this, you can scoff at this, our people are being genocided in our country. 50% of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so empathetic and compassionate, they're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country, and these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the Jews.
How many Christians are there?
Gaza, it's against whites.
How many Christians are there in the world? Like me and
1 point some billion.
Yeah,
2 billion.
How many Jews are there?
15 million.
Okay. So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun by the Jewry, by 15 million people, when there are over 1 billion Christians. There is a genocide of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say
Who am I losing to?
White people,
Who am I losing to?
White people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it. Mass migration. You're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land. Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years. And then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe. So you could say there's 2 billion people, but what's the proportionality? What is the percentage of people being born that are white? Where's the arrow pointing? Where are we going to be in 50 years? In 50 years, there might be an Israel. In 50 years, there isn't going to be a white Christendom.
You don't believe people should get married, right?
I think people should get married. I'm a Christian.
But you're basically anti-marriage, really. You've talked about this. You've talked about.
Are we done talking about white genocide?
Well, no, I'm coming to the same part because you seem very resistant to the idea of marriage. You've never got married. You've talked very scathingly about henpecked husbands. Just take a look.
That's true. Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like, they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like, you're fat, you're chubby, you're not as hot as you think you are, you fucking talk too much, you're a bitch.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen misogyny part of that a little later, but I'm just curious. On the one hand, there's this terrible genocide going on of white people. On the other hand, you want people effectively to stop going near women because they all turn out to be so ghastly, so they shouldn't presumably procreate. So how does that work? I mean, aren't you, with your rhetoric, actively encouraging men not to associate with these ghastly women, therefore not have any more children? Therefore, you are contributing, Nick Fuentes, to the diminishing white population. I'm confused.
I tell my followers to get married all the time. I tell them that it's best for everybody to get married. And I think that's the only way that you can have sex. I think that's the only licit way as a Catholic, as you know, to have sex is within marriage.
Why don't you get married?
I'll get married later. It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want to have kids and a wife. You know, my wife would be screaming about that. Me, I have to be able to take risks and be able to say these things. It's difficult to bring a family into a life that's like that. But for my followers, I tell them to get married. But what's happening with women...
You literally just told your followers... Hang on. In that clip, you literally told followers, women, they get old, they get fat, they get ugly, they get very annoying. So where's the incentive to get married to women? There isn't one. You're actively telling them the opposite.
You're extrapolating a lot. We can complain...
Just quoting you back yourself again.
No, but you're extrapolating and saying, well, you say women are annoying, so therefore, what's the incentive? We have to do it in spite of the fact that they are annoying. We have to do it in spite of the fact that they talk too much. We can get them to lose weight. We can put them on peptides. We can get them to the promised land, but it's going to be
Do you think this view of women may be why none of them want to go near you?
Oh, you should see my DMs. It is quite the opposite. They're called the Groibettes, and I'm actually batting them away. Granted, not all of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive.
Are you actually? Look, just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I have no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay?
No. But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So, there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
See, basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid. Wow.
That's the thing, though. You boomers, it's
you
always
think you're an expert in women,
free love.
Given you've never got laid?
Yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age. You're absolutely right. This, you're talking about empathy, and your kids are empathetic, and they would never laugh at a joke about the Holocaust, and you're a misogynist. You're a simp yourself. You're totally henpecked. That's the problem. So we are going back.
Let me play another clip of yours about women.
A lot of women want to be raped, and when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that, but there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them, but also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
You think women want to be raped, do you?
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is what these statistics say.
But that's what you believe,
They have fantasies. They have fantasies about it. I don't think that they want to actually get raped, but there's a study out there. Get ready for this. It says 62% of women have rape fantasies. And if you read anything that they're reading, if you watched what they're watching, what do you think 50 Shades of Grey is about? What do you think Twilight is about? I mean, that's just true.
You think women want to have the shit beaten out of them, as you said?
Yeah, and it's very disturbing, but it's true.
Do you think your views on women might change if you actually ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship? I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
Well, I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very, very angry about women.
I'm passionate. It's an issue I'm passionate about.
You're sounding very bitter about women. As if women have done a terrible disservice to you. But when? You don't have relationships, you don't have sex. When are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them. And that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll, they're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular. They agree with me. There's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing, you're a misogynistic pig. Because I don't know what that is. I guess
let me explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27-year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should stay at home, that all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up, that's what they want, that they're annoying, that they get fat, that they get ugly. That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it, because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually, you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was, in a way, you have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yet here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show that a lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No. See, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist,
You said you were a racist.
Mean nothing to me. Oh, hang
You
on.
gave
Whoa,
yourself-
can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't
No.
give you the label.
Okay.
You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I didn't
the thing.
give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying
Why
to
are you
infer
screaming at
something
me?
that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. You
Okay.
gave yourself the label.
You're gonna have to tone it down a little, all right? You're gonna have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust, and I'm not about the labels,
You
man.
didn't deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, as I said to you, I just wanted to go over the stuff that everyone uses out there
Yeah.
about you and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a
Yeah.
long way in this interview. Right?
Okay.
You didn't deny the Holocaust. You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant.
I think it's more.
You did admit you're a racist, and you have spelled
That's
out
true.
a thought process about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you said you're not gay. So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Well, look, and I own the labels, okay? But I
Okay.
just don't care that much about them.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole...
I'm not saying
this
you
is
have-
like a weird...
I'm not saying you
Yeah, go
have to
ahead.
care. Nick, you don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been
not at
overtly
all.
hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed down. I don't want to have a hostile, angry, shouty match with you. I simply want you to spell out exactly what you've meant about all these things, and people can then be the judge of them. So let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others. Okay, back with Nick Fuentes. You began your show in 2017, the same year as Trump was inaugurated for his first term in office. You supported him at that time, but you've grown increasingly disillusioned, I think it'd be fair to say. Let's play a recent clip from you about Trump.
We played this game in the first term. We're 10 years in. And you still have these people, I hate to say it, but they're just like in denial. And they're like, okay, everybody, let's all go on Twitter and let's tell Trump, don't screw over your voters. Okay, hey, Trump, don't hire John Radcliffe in the CIA. Like, what are we doing? We lost. It's over. The time to make demands was during the election when he needed the votes. He's a lame duck president. He doesn't need anything from us. He's not even on Twitter. He's on Truth Social. So what are you talking about? We're going to all rally and tell him, don't hire yet another neocon?
Now, over the weekend, you posted this on X. You said performative cruelty is the perfect phrase to characterize the Trump admin and the mood of the MAGA movement. In order to compensate for his compromises and failures, Trump has to fall back on mean-spiritedness to appeal to the basest instincts of his followers. It's really sad. I mean, do you think you're the best person, Nick Fuentes, to lecture people about performative cruelty?
Why, are you accusing me of being cruel? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
How am I cruel?
You're cruel about black people. You're cruel about women. I mean, you're cruel about a lot of people, and you're very performative.
Okay. I don't think I'm performative. If anything, everyone else is performative. I'm authentic. You know, whatever you want to say about me, it's real. It's from the gut. But yes, I do think it's performative. And what I mean by that is, you know, when they're doing the deportations, they know the deportations are not where the base wants them to be. They deported, the figures are disputed, but from my data, it's 300,000 in the year, which is not a massive deportation. They know the base is unhappy with that. So what do? The deportations that they are carrying out, they do a big spectacle, and they arrest everybody, and they film it, and they put a hype at it, and there's a meanness in there. They played that song, I think from Sabrina Carpenter or something, and they make it a joke. They make it glib, and they do that because they're not delivering on the promise, so they compensate by doing it meaner, edgier, more mean-spirited, so that the base will overlook the fact that it's not happening. And I think that's by definition performative cruelty. You can call me a hypocrite, but it's definitely true about what they're doing in the administration.
You went to see Trump at Mar-a-Lago with Ye for dinner. What was that like?
It was very interesting. They're my two heroes. Ye is my hero. Trump is my hero. Even though he's very disappointing, I still a personal hero of mine. And he's a remarkable person. It was a great conversation. We got along pretty well. He liked me. I liked him. It was a love fest.
I mean, he got attacked afterwards for supping with the white supremacist devil. I mean, do you accept you are a white supremacist?
No, absolutely not.
You don't think white people are superior to black people?
No, I'm a Christian, so I believe everybody is equal before God.
Including women?
Yes.
So you give women equal rights then?
No.
Great.
No.
Great. Okay, so you just talked a lot of bullshit, didn't you?
No. Why are you mad about this? No.
You want women to be treated equally before God, but you don't want to give them equal rights.
Yeah, because women and men are different.
Look,
do you believe there are two genders?
It's your view.
Do you think there's two genders?
I do think there are two genders, yes.
Okay, and so you mean there's distinction. There are two distinct genders.
I think we should all have the same rights to...
Well, if they're meaningfully distinct, biologically distinct, and they have different social and biological roles, I think it would follow that we would treat them a little bit differently in the law.
Do you think the Catholic Church's teachings reflect that?
I do. Yeah, there's no female priests. Have you ever seen that?
Do you think that the Catholic Church thinks all women should be deprived of the vote?
Yeah, I think so.
No, they don't.
I think they do, yeah.
You think the Catholic Church position is women shouldn't be allowed to vote?
I think so, yeah, but I'm not positive.
No, it's bullshit.
Oh, it should be.
It should be. So if you were Pope, that's what you do. You could be Pope because you're celibate.
That's true. And I'm also from Chicago, like the Pope. But look,
Right.
I mean, women, it says in the Bible that women have no authority over men, and they can't teach men, and that's why there's no female priests.
There's a lot of
So I
things
don't
in the
think
Bible.
the Catholic...
I mean, do you take every
Okay.
word of the Bible as sacrosanct?
Well, yeah, it's inspired scripture.
That's all of
But I
it
mean,
is
is this now
all of it is
a
sacrosanct.
theological debate? Well, it is Catholic doctrine that women should not lead and teach. I mean, you're not interacting with what I'm saying. Why can't women be priests?
They should be.
Okay, well, you're not Catholic. That's not a Catholic
I am
position.
a Catholic. Many things I disagree with the Catholic Church.
Okay. Well, that kind of is contrary because the whole basis
really?
of being Catholic is
No.
accepting. It's accepting the authority of the pontiff.
You can be a member of a religion and disagree with parts of that religion. Perfectly reasonable.
You could be. Well, yeah. I mean, you could say
Unless you're an
that, but it wouldn't
extremist.
be true.
If you're an extremist, you can't.
Okay.
Obviously, you never deviate.
That's just not rigorous.
You never
That's just
deviate if
sloppy.
you're an extremist. But even the Constitution,
just sloppy.
even the Constitution's been amended. Was it 27 times? People talk about this sacrosanct document. It's been amended 27
Oh my
times.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my. This is not rigorous intellectually. This is very.
Just
this is
a statement of
tabloid
fact.
theology. Okay, but it's fine. Where were we? We're talking about Trump, and somehow we got into
Trump.
you're
Look,
white knighting for women's rights.
On Trump, well, I think women should have the same rights as you and I. You don't. That's fine.
Put on the pink hat, bro. Put on the pink hat. We're waiting.
What's the pink hat for?
For the march, for the women's march. Are we going to see you at the women's march, protesting for women's rights and all that?
I think women should have equal rights to men. Period.
You carry tampons in case your female friends get a period or something? Like, it's crazy. White knighting is
I'd have no problem
diabolical.
giving a female friend a tampon, would you? Have you ever? I don't suppose you've ever seen a tampon, have you?
Gross. Absolutely not.
You think tampons are gross?
Yeah, they're
Really?
filled with period blood. Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Wow.
Are you into that? You like that?
Have you ever seen
a lot of tampons?
I don't think you've ever seen it, have you?
I've seen them. I've seen them before.
You've been that close to a woman? Really?
No, I've seen them. Look, I
You've seen
I
videos?
used to live with women, so I've seen them around the
I
house.
bet you've seen videos, haven't you?
What? What are we doing here, Piers?
I'm not sure.
You really hate that
I'm not sure,
You're
Nick.
more impressed that I'm a misogynist than you are about anything. It's
Not
very
really.
revealing.
I'm actually more exercised about your blatant, self-admitted racism than I'm about
I see.
anything. But the misogyny runs a close second. Let me ask you about Tucker Carlson, because you had a long sit-down with Tucker Carlson, in which he was, oddly, I like Tucker, we get on well, I was with him last week in London, but he gave me a harder time than he gives you. And then afterwards, he was more critical. And then you said this about Tucker.
He's a handler. He handles people. That's what he does. He's a fucking liar and a handler. He goes around telling people, I don't know anything. I don't know. Oh, I know nothing. I don't even have a phone. I am just a clueless tourist. I just travel to all these countries and, I don't trust him. And I don't care, maybe that alienates me from people in the conservative movement. I don't care. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to be a party to whatever that is. Whatever that CIA bullshit is, I'm not going to be a part of it. So, now that I've heard enough from Tucker, and I've heard enough from other people, and I've seen enough, this guy's not who he says he is. Not an ally. Stay the fuck away from me. You're weird, dude. You're weird.
See, what would have been great is if you'd said that to him when you were sitting opposite him.
Well, when I was sitting opposite him at the dinner and in the interview, he was nothing but nice. He was very nice to me and very cordial, and he didn't call me an anti-Semite, and he didn't even press me on it at all. And I thought he would, and I almost wanted him to. He was nothing but nice, and we had a great time. We had a really great dinner, really great interview, and I felt really good about it. And the next week on my show, I said, he really surprised me. He's great. And then every interview he's done since, all he does is call me an anti-Semite. He goes, well, I hate his anti-Semitism, and, I wonder why people like him. And so I just think that's two-faced. So after that experience, it kind of turned me off. I didn't like that, but he's going to do what he's going to do. He's still a nice guy, but I think he's two-faced.
What about Candace Owens? You had a sit-down with her. She called you out on a few of your more incendiary comments. You've been attacking her quite virulently recently. What's going on there?
Well, it's me and her. We're so complicated. We're on and off. It's very passionate on both sides. I think there's this intense desire to be friends, but a frustration where we disagree with each other. There's a rivalry. But I thought we were going to have a friendly conversation, and then she kind of did the same thing. We're going to go on a show during the war with Iran. We're literally in the middle of a war. And she texted me the day before the United States bombed Fordo, and she said, would you like to come on my show? I said, absolutely. I said, is this going to be about Iran? She goes, I don't do setups. I said, yeah, let's do it. I come on the show, and then she's got this weird hostile demeanor. She's doing the clip thing. Then she puts it behind a paywall. It was ridiculous. So that really was not nice. And then I think this whole Charlie Kirk thing, I think she's gone insane. I think she's absolutely lost her mind. So I feel sorry for her husband.
What did you feel when Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Where were you when you heard about it?
I was at my house, and a friend of mine who was actually at the event texted me and said, Charlie got shot. I said, who? He said, Charlie Kirk. I said, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And honestly, it was devastating. I didn't like Charlie Kirk at all, and we had an intense rivalry, and he hated me. But honest to God, I was devastated. I was emotionally affected by it. I didn't even do a show that night because I was beside myself. So it was rough. I mean, it was hard to watch.
When you say you were beside yourself, I mean, you hated him.
I don't hate anybody. I didn't hate him, but we I really didn't like him. I intensely disliked him, and I didn't agree with him.
He called you vermin, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he hated me also.
But you were still beside yourself when you heard what happened to him.
I was. I thought it was disgusting what was done to him, and it was tragic, and it was horrifying.
Do you fear an attack like that on yourself? Have you upped your own security because of this? Because your profile's got exponentially higher since what happened to Charlie Kirk. I
have increased my security, and but something similar like that happened to me. Someone came to my house with a gun about a year ago, almost exactly, trying to kill me, and he was shot and killed in my alleyway. So I've had increased security for a while. It's a bad time out there, and I do believe it was a left-wing person that killed him. I think it was a left-wing person that tried to kill me. So yeah, I take it very seriously.
Elon Musk said on his X platform that you're a Fed, that you're a paid-up hire of the government. Is that true?
No.
100. You've never worked for the government in any capacity.
I've never talked to federal law enforcement, and actually I've testified to that fact under oath when I was subpoenaed by the Congress. People leave that part out, but I got subpoenaed, I think in January 2022, I think it was, and I was deposed by the subcommittee, the House Select Subcommittee on January 6th, and they asked me, did you speak with any federal law enforcement? And under oath, I said no, I've never had contact with them, I've never turned over devices, so no, absolutely not.
There's been footage that's come out again this week. This is you at the January the 6th riots. Let's take a look.
It appears we are taking the Capitol back! Keep marching and don't relax, never relax! Break down the barriers and disregard the police! This Capitol belongs to us! The police are evacuating the Capitol!
Now you're heard there shouting down your loud hailer, break down the barriers and disregard the police. The Capitol belongs to us now. What did you mean by that?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The Capitol belongs to the people.
Disregard the police. So you don't support law and order?
No, I support law and order, but on that day, the police were brutal. The police killed somebody, Ashley Babbitt. And, they were throwing people off of the rafters. They killed multiple people. So
when disregarding the police is the first step to anarchy, isn't it?
Well, I think the first step to anarchy is when the government rigs the election, which is what happened. That is when the government loses its legitimacy, and its enforcers, consequently, do also.
Well,
that's exactly what happened in 2020.
There is no evidence the government rigged the election. You know that. You're a bright guy.
Well, let's talk about it. Do you want to talk about the election of 2020?
Yeah. I think Trump lost it fair and square. I think he fought the wrong argument about the stolen election. I've said to him, to his face,
I agree.
The argument he should have said is that the deliberate suppression of things like the Hunter Biden laptop scandal from the media, by social media, by big tech, was actually a deliberate attempt to subvert the result of the election. And that's a much better argument because it's undeniable. When the New York Post that had that exclusive were basically shadow banned off all social media for the 2 weeks before the election, that was an absolute disgrace. And if I was Donald Trump, I would focus on that as being my main argument that that election was slanted against him. When he goes off into saying that there was widespread rigging and voter systems were wrong, we've litigated all this now. Through various court cases, various Republican judges have ruled there was no rigging of that kind. In fact, the American election system is accepted by most people around the world as being one of the best in the world, one of the most reliable. So I just think he fought the wrong argument. If he said the deliberate suppression of damaging stories to the Bidens, which could have swung the election, was outrageous and unacceptable, I'm 100% behind him. But by building this spurious argument that it was all rigged through voting systems and so on, he lost me.
Well, I agree about the voting systems, but, when they went into the machines, I think that was ridiculous. However, what has to be accounted for is that in 2016, 35% of the votes were cast by mail. By 2020, it was 70% because of the pandemic. So you doubled the amount of votes that happened by mail. They called it in-person early voting. They called it a variety of different things. And the other thing that they changed is they solicited the mail-in ballots. So they sent ballots to people's houses. And once you do that, I mean, you have absentee balloting normally, but it's a process. You got to give your social security number, your ID. They send it to you. There's regulations in place. This is an election where they doubled the amount of mail-in votes, and they sent ballots to people's houses. And when you do that, you break the chain of custody. So they send the ballot out, and then they tell people return it at a 24-hour ballot drop site that's unsupervised. There's thousands of them, and they're going to hope that all the ballots that find their way into these drop boxes were filled out by the person that the ballot was intended for. And I know that didn't happen. I'll tell you why. My uncle has been dead for 26 years. He got a ballot in 2020. It was mailed to my parents' house. And that was happening in nursing homes. That was happening in apartment buildings.
But you
and
also
so I think
know that every independent body that has looked at this has concluded there was no widespread rigging, that it was a free and fair election, and Trump lost. And the bottom line is he should stop going on about it anyway, because he won back the White House in 2024. As you have been so keen to tell me, move on, right? No one wants to look back too far.
That's a separate argument. I mean, you can say that he should stop talking about it, but whether it was rigged or not is actually relevant to what happened on January 6th. Because what happened on J 6th is people were outraged about it. People were furious that, by the way, there's never been an independent ballot audit in all the states where there was alleged to be rigging. That has not happened. And certainly it did not happen up until January 6th. And people said, this is ridiculous. They're stealing it. There was that red
honestly,
mirage.
if either you or Donald Trump or anybody else wants to show me, I said this to him when I interviewed him last, if you show me the actual hardcore, incontrovertible evidence, then great. I've never seen it. Joe Rogan asked him. He didn't produce it with Joe Rogan. It's just never been produced. But look, I don't want to labour the point on that. So I suppose the more interesting question now, as your influence rises in the conservative movement in America, and there's a lot of splits going on amongst MAGA over a number of issues, and about you, and you know this, is your split with Trump irrevocable? Do you feel now, as we head towards the year of the midterms, that it's time to now look to who his successor will be, and who do you think that person should be?
Well, it's not irrevocable, but I am very pessimistic about this administration. And succession is something that I've been interested in for as long as I've been doing this show. And I think it's very clear that they are grooming J.D. Vance to be that successor. And by they, I mean Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Peter Thiel. There seems to be an organization that was put in place roughly around 2022 when Peter Thiel was very active in the midterm elections. He spent, I think, over $30 million, $15 million for Vance, $15 million for Masters. Spent a lot of money in a lot of other congressional races, trying to unseat the Republicans that voted for impeachment in 21, and also building out a media market, building out a patronage network, funding things like Passage Press, Sovereign House, a number of other projects to create sort of like a self-contained media ecosystem. And Vance is clearly the selected nominee. That is who the interests want. And they've been pushing for him very strongly. So I think he's the heir apparent right now. There's a forceful push. I've heard good things about him. I've heard bad things about him too. And where I think it needs to go is I think we need to return to the message from 2016, what Trump said in the first election, which is we need to drain the swamp. We need to get the money out of politics. The super PACs, the special interests, put America first in foreign policy and the wars, close the border and deport the illegals, and reindustrialize America, bring back manufacturing, bring back jobs. We're in this Cold War with China. We need America to have productive capacity again. We need America to have wealth. So I think whoever is going to bring us back to that, that's who I'm going to support, and I haven't seen enough from Vance yet.
You called J.D. Vance's wife a Jeet. What does that mean?
It's a slur for Indians.
Why would you use that?
Well, you want the honest answer?
Because you're a racist?
No, No, there's actually a different reason. The reason why I said that, if you watch the whole show, did you watch that whole show, by the way?
No, but you've admitted you use that slur. I'm just curious why you would use that about a woman with her
I'll
heritage.
tell you, there's a really important reason why, and this is why context matters. If you look online at the people that are supporting J.D. Vance the most, they are racist. They're racist also, let's say. And they look at someone like myself, I don't support J.D. Vance, and they say, you're brown, you're a third worldist. They are gleefully participating in the cruelty, you could say the performative cruelty of the Trump administration. They say, you're going back. You have 100 days until you're being deported. You're going in a crystal. And then they tell us to vote for J.D. Vance. And so all I did on the show is I said, you have basically racist chuds that post memes about Indians all day on Twitter, memes about third worldists and Palestinians even. But then they want to turn around and support a guy who has said on Twitter, how dare you say I'm racist? I have non-white kids and I'm in an interracial marriage. And all I said is I just said that's a little ironic. I said that's hypocritical. And Vance is going to have to explain to all of his supporters who have gassed him up as the real mass deportation candidate. He's going to have to explain to them what's going on with that. What is with the contradiction? Because
and you
it is
don't
a
feel any
contradiction.
accountability for the millions of young people that will hear you use that slur and think it's fine to use it?
No, I think
Okay.
that's ridiculous.
Okay. Let's take a final break and come back with a little kind of summary of how you think this interview has gone for you.
Okay.
So you don't miss out. Okay, next for Wednesday. We've been talking for nearly 2 hours. What is your view of how the interview has gone?
I think it was great. Honestly, I think it was a tough interview. You're a tough interviewer. But I don't think there were surprises. I will not say it was an ambush because it wasn't. I sort of anticipated that you would make some choices about how you wanted it to go, and I was fine with it. So I thought it was terrific.
As a Catholic, you're probably aware the Jerusalem Post has recently called on the Pope to openly condemn you. Would it matter to you if the Pope did? He's an American Pope, obviously.
It would be very disheartening, yes.
Why?
Because he's our spiritual leader. He's the head of the church. He's the vicar of Christ. So if he condemned me, that would be very disheartening. And it would depend upon what he would say exactly. But yeah, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that at all.
If he condemned you because you've openly admitted to being a racist on this show?
Oh, this racist. I would be disappointed if he said that, because I think that word racist, it means something different to everybody. And so I think that's just silly. I think that's just semantic.
Have you ever been in love in your life?
No, like romantically, no,
Yeah, never.
no.
Do you think that's part of the problem?
What's the problem?
Why you are the way you are?
Oh, and what's the way I am? What are you trying to say?
I've given people 2 hours of the way you are. You're unashamed about a lot of it.
I don't think I have a problem. I think I'm cheerful, boisterous. Unlike you, I'm willing to be a little well, I guess you're willing to be provocative, but I'm willing to be very provocative, and I'm a free thinker. And I don't like to be tone policed. I don't like to be told about, people are going to tone police and play moral cop about you can't make this joke or you can't make this statement. And I think that's just about being intellectually open. I'm a believer in openness.
I
ideas.
completely agree. I think you should be perfectly free to express yourself exactly how you see fit. My problem is how you see fit with some of the things that you say. And we've been through a lot of them, and I think people who don't know you very well will have been shocked in parts and surprised in other parts. But in totality, they can see you for what you are. I think we've got a lot nearer to what the real Nick Fuentes is in the last 2 hours than we probably have seen from your other recent interviews. Would you agree?
No, I mean, the clip thing, we've done the clip thing. We've all seen the clip show. Everyone's seen the clips. You think you're the first one to do the ADL rap sheet. So here you said this, and then here you said that. I've been playing that game for 10 years, so this is honestly more of the same, to tell you the truth.
Nick Fuentes, I appreciate you coming on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, my thanks to Nick Fuentes, and my thanks to the hundreds of thousands of you watching this special live episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored. As I said during the interview, I think it was firm but fair, but you can all make up your own minds. If you like what you do, please like and subscribe the channel so that we can keep doing it. I'm back tomorrow. Until then, whatever you're up to, keep it uncensored.